welcome back to 7th grade math support. Again, my name is Dr. Griggs, and let's go ahead and get started on what our overall objective is. Our overall objective is ratios and proportional relationships, and for today, our objective is identify the constant of proportionality or unit rate in tables, graphs, equations, diagrams, and verbal descriptions of proportional relationships. So let's look at an example here. Pretty much this is telling us though that we're going to be looking at unit rate, and we're going to use any number of choices for tables, graphs, equations, diagrams, and verbal descriptions of these proportional relationships. So our problem for today is a fruit stand sells apples at a constant rate. We can see that in the table here. For 2 apples it costs $6. For 4 apples it costs $12. For 6 apples it costs $18. And for 8 apples it costs $24. So now let's look at our equation representation. We have y equals 3x. Well, that looks like what's happening here, because if we look at what y represents, y is the total cost in dollars and x is the number of apples. Well, if we were to plug in what we have here just for the first one, we have y being the total cost, so that would be $6 equals 3 times x, which is the number of apples, so 2. 3 times 2 is indeed 6. So this equation representation fits this problem. Verbal description, we have for every apple purchased, the cost increases by the same amount. So that's also clear. And that's how you know you have a proportional relationship. If you're able to use the same rule for every row, then you have a proportional relationship. If you ever have to change the rule from one row to the next, then you do not have a proportional relationship. Here we can do going up by 2's, and we keep the same proportion. Here we're going up by 6, and again keeping that same proportion. So this is proportional. Now our question is, this is our first one, what is the constant of proportionality or unit rate in this situation? Well, let's look at what we have for our information. So whenever we're looking for unit rate, we are trying to get down to how much it is per item. It depends on the table. It depends on the independent and dependent variables. In this case, our independent variable would be the apples. This is because the number of apples determines the cost. Therefore, total cost would be dependent. The total cost depends on the apples, the number of apples that are being sold. Excuse me. So then if we look, we'll have our dependent variable divided by our independent variable, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. We can also see that here in our equation, when we have a coefficient in front of the x, that's going to be our constant of proportionality or our unit rate. But I just wanted to kind of show how that 3 was arrived at. So now we know that the unit rate in this situation is 3, but let's see if we can explain how you know using the table, the equation, and the verbal description. So again, the equation for constant of proportionality is y equals kx, where k is the unit rate. X is going to be the independent variable, and y is going to be the dependent variable. So we can tell here that the 3 would be for the unit rate because of its placement in the equation. Now, from the table, We also were able to find the unit rate by dividing the dependent variable by the independent variable. In this case, 6 divided by 2. But I didn't have to just choose that one. I could have chosen this one. And I could have done 18 divided by 6, and it still would have gotten 3. That's something also to test, because you want to make sure that the same relationship holds true for every row. So let's test it. So 12 divided by 4 also equals 3. And 24 divided by 8 also equals 3. So that also lets us know that this table is proportional, which is fantastic. That's what we want. Now, from the verbal description, we have for every apple purchased, the cost increases by the same amount. Well, that's also true, because we can see that for 2 apples it's 6, and for 4 apples it's 12. So it increased by the same amount, and that helps us out to be able to solve this problem. Okay, well, we have now found the constant proportionality, or the unit rate, in this situation. We have also explained the table, the equation, and the verbal description, and how all of those also go with the unit rate. So thank you all so much for joining, and I really hope that this was helpful to you. If you need any additional assistance on anything, feel free to let me know. I will be glad to be of assistance. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining my tutoring session today. If you enjoy the way that I instruct, and you think that I would be a useful addition to your student or to yourself, feel free to scan this QR code. It is going to take you directly to my profile page, where you can get set up on weekly classes with me. Looking forward to seeing you in the classroom. Bye.